Greetings, cozy knights. Lower your swords and rest by the fire. Tonight, we journey through the wildest quest facts spanning every corner of Skyrim's frozen world. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're listening from tonight and what games you want me to cover next. And subscribe if this helps you sleep. The Paarthurnax choice. The main quest line forces you to make a choice that many players never fully realize they can avoid. After learning that Paarthurnax, the ancient dragon on the throat of the world, was once Alduin's lieutenant, the Blades demand you kill him. However, the quest to eliminate Paarthurnax is entirely optional. You can simply refuse Delphine and Esbern, completing the main story without ever slaying the wise dragon. The Blades will remain permanently disappointed in you, but Paarthurnax survives to continue his meditative existence atop the mountain. This creates an interesting moral dilemma that the game doesn't force resolution upon. Season, unending mystery. Many long-time Skyrim players have never experienced the season unending quest, despite playing through multiple times. This peace negotiation at High Hrothgar only triggers if you haven't completed either side of the Civil War quest line when you reach a specific point in the main story. If you've already finished the war for either the Imperials or Stormcloaks, the game skips this quest entirely. During Season Unending, you actually broker a temporary truce between Ulfric and Tullius, with major characters like Elenwen from the Thalmor attempting to influence the proceedings. It's one of the most politically complex quests in the game that many miss entirely. The secret Volthuriel fight. Deep in Blackreach, that enormous underground Dwemer city hangs a glowing golden orb above the silent city. Most players walk right past it without realizing its purpose. If you use the unrelenting force shout directly on this orb, it summons Volthuriel, an ancient dragon who has somehow been trapped underground. The dragon immediately becomes hostile and engages in combat. Unlike most dragons, Volthuriel stays grounded for the majority of the fight, making him easier to deal with using melee weapons. The loot he drops is standard dragon materials, but the encounter itself represents one of Skyrim's most well-hidden boss fights that requires no quest to activate. The Reaper's hidden boss, in the Soul Cairn, added by the Dawnguard DLC. 3 Reaper gem fragments are scattered throughout this purgatory dimension. Most players collect them without understanding their purpose. If you gather all 3 fragments and bring them to the Reaper's lair in the eastern section of the Soul Cairn, you can summon the Reaper himself. This spectral entity appears to be some sort of warden or guardian of the realm. Defeating the Reaper rewards you with several Black Soul gems and a Daedra heart. The fight itself is challenging, as the Reaper hits hard and has substantial health. This entire encounter is completely optional and never mentioned in any quest dialogue. Old Hroldan's Ghost Quest. Sleeping in the Tiber Septim bed at Old Hroldan Inn triggers a hidden quest that many players never experience. After paying to sleep in the legendary bed, you're awakened by screams. Investigating reveals the ghost of an ancient Nord warrior who mistakes you for someone named Hjalti. The spirit wants you to recover Hjalti's sword from one of 8 random dungeon locations throughout Skyrim. Once you return with the weapon, the ghost finds peace and rewards you with lessons from the Swordmasters of Alcair, providing a 1-point bonus to your one-handed and block skills. This entire quest chain begins only if you choose that specific bed, making it easy to miss if you never visit Old Hroldan or sleep elsewhere. The Ebony Blade's Dark Secret. The Whispering Door quest in Dragon's Reach leads to one of the most morally compromising weapons in Skyrim. After Retrieving the ebony blade from the locked room, Mephala explains that the weapon grows stronger by absorbing the blood of people who trust you. The blade increases in power every 2 friendly kills, maxing out after 10 victims. This means you must systematically murder your friends, followers, spouses, or citizens who consider you an ally. Some players discover that marrying someone, befriending them through quests, then killing them repeatedly after resurrection, counts toward the blade's power. The weapon encourages betrayal as a game mechanic, which is disturbingly thematic for Mephala's sphere of influence. The Ill-Met by Moonlight exploit. Hircine's quest offers a unique opportunity to obtain 2 Daedric artifacts instead of 1. After hunting Sinding the werewolf, you face a choice between sparing him or killing him. The intended design gives you either the Ring of Hircine or the Saviour's Hide. However, there's a sequence that allows both. You must kill Sinding inside the grotto, then leave without skinning him. Tell Hircine you failed, receiving the ring. Then return to Sinding's corpse and skin it, summoning Hircine again for the Saviour's Hide. This exploit makes Ill-Met by Moonlight the only Daedric quest where obtaining both rewards is possible, though it requires specific timing. The Missing Jarl conversation. If you side with the Stormcloaks and force Balgruuf the Greater from his throne, he relocates to the basement of Solitude's Blue Palace. Most players never think to visit him there, missing entirely new dialogue trees. Balgruuf expresses regret, discusses his children's future, and reflects on Whiterun's fate. His dialogue reveals depth to his character that's absent during his confident Jarl phase. Similarly, if you complete the Whispering Door quest, while Balgruuf is deposed, finding him requires knowing he's in Solitude rather than Whiterun. This creates continuity many players never see. The Karliah betrayal details. During the Thieves Guild questline, Karliah shoots you with a poisoned arrow and you collapse. Most players assume she poisoned you maliciously as part of her villainous act. However, when you wake up at her camp, Karliah explains the truth. She deliberately used a unique paralysis poison that slowed your heart rate and prevented you from bleeding out when Mercer stabbed you. Her arrow wasn't meant to harm you, but to save your life. She needed to get you away from Mercer's influence, and the poison was her only way to protect you from his inevitable attack. What appears to be betrayal was actually a calculated rescue, though many players skip through this dialogue without fully understanding her intentions. The Gulda Amulet quest trigger. The Forbidden Legend quest begins in one of the least obvious ways. You must find and read a book called Lost Legends, which spawns in random locations, including the Bard's College and various dungeon bookshelves. Many players stumble into the Gulda brothers' tombs without ever triggering the official quest, fighting through Folguntor, Geirmund's Hall, Sartor, and Reachwater Rock without understanding the overarching story. The quest itself involves reassembling an amulet split between 3 brothers who murdered their father. Each brother's tomb contains unique puzzles and powerful Draugr encounters. Completing it grants the Gulda amulet, which permanently increases health, magicka, and stamina by 30 points each. The Coming of Age Unmarked quest. Outside Ironbind Barrow, 2 adventurers named Salma and Beamjar are preparing to explore the ruins. This quest never appears in your journal, but unfolds through natural dialogue. They're seeking treasure and adventure, representing the countless other adventurers in Skyrim who aren't blessed with the Dragonborn's destiny. You can choose to help them or ignore their plight. Inside Ironbind Barrow, they face dangerous Draugr and traps. Both can die permanently if you don't protect them adequately. There's no reward for helping beyond whatever loot you find, making this one of the purest examples of emergent storytelling, where the journey itself is the content. The Angie's Camp archery training. High in the mountains south of Falkreath, unmarked on the map, sits Angie's Camp. This reclusive archer offers free training through a series of target practice challenges. Completing her 4 tests rewards you with a permanent level in archery and Angie's bow. The tests progressively increase in difficulty, requiring precision and timing. The final challenge demands hitting 4 targets within 4 seconds. What makes this remarkable is that Angie herself is a fugitive, hiding after killing Imperial soldiers who murdered her family. She's not marked as essential, meaning if she dies, her training is lost forever. Finding her camp requires careful exploration or prior knowledge, as no quests point you there. The Staff of Magnus choice. During the College of Winterhold questline, you're sent to Labyrinthian to retrieve the Staff of Magnus. Inside this massive dungeon, you encounter the ghostly dragon priest Morokei, who wields the staff. What many players don't realize is that Morokei's fight difficulty scales dramatically based on your level and how you've spec'd your character. Magic-focused characters often struggle immensely, as Morokei absorbs spells and can drain your magicka completely. However, there's a hidden mechanic where freeing the captive mages from their magic field containment provides a massive advantage. They don't fight directly, but their release weakens Morokei's regeneration, making the encounter significantly more manageable. The Dark Brotherhood's optional contract. After completing the main Dark Brotherhood storyline, Nazir offers additional contracts through Radiant quests. However, one of these contracts is truly optional in a unique way. Nazir sometimes assigns you to kill a priest of Arkay in one of Skyrim's Halls of the Dead. If you've previously done quests for this priest or befriended them, killing them feels more impactful. The game doesn't acknowledge this emotional weight mechanically, but narratively it reflects the Brotherhood's philosophy. You're not just killing targets, but destroying relationships you've built. Some priests you've worked with are now contracts, showing how the Brotherhood doesn't discriminate based on your history. The treasure maps. Mechanics. Skyrim contains 11 treasure maps that lead to buried riches. What most players don't know is the treasure chests don't spawn until you actually obtain the corresponding map. You can't stumble upon these treasures through exploration alone. The maps must be found first, either by looting them from bandits, discovering them in dungeons, or purchasing them from merchants. Each map shows a hand-drawn location with landmarks. Some are straightforward, while others require careful observation to identify the correct spot. The treasures contain leveled loot scaled to when you acquire the map, meaning waiting to search can improve rewards. This system encourages map collecting as a treasure hunting minigame. The Frostflow Abyss Horror. Frostflow Lighthouse appears as a simple location until you venture into its basement. The quest Frostflow Abyss never appears in your journal, but unfolds through environmental storytelling. A family of 4 operated the lighthouse until Chorus attacked from tunnels below. Reading the parents' journal reveals their growing concern about strange noises. You find the father's corpse reanimated as a Chorus Reaper, a horrifying transformation, showing what happens to victims of Chorus. The mother and daughter's bodies lie nearby. Clearing the infestation and bringing the father's journal to Habd, a family friend in Dawnstar, provides closure. He thanks you solemnly, showing how not all quests need quest markers to be meaningful. The Summoning Karstag Challenge. The Dragonborn DLC contains Skyrim's most difficult optional boss fight. In Castle Karstarg ruins on Solstheim, you can find a throne room. First, you must retrieve Karstarg's skull from the glacial cave and place it on his throne. This summons the spectral frost giant Karstarg, who attacks immediately at level 51 with devastating power. His attacks can one-shot many builds, and he summons ice wraiths to assist him. Defeating Karstarg grants the power to summon him 3 times as an ally, but only 3 times for your entire playthrough. He's stronger than most other summoned creatures, making these summons extremely valuable. Many players consider Karstarg harder than Mirak, the DLC's main antagonist. The Dragon Bridge Overlook Secret. On the mountain overlooking Dragon Bridge, there's an unmarked lovers' camp containing 2 skeletons embracing each other. Nearby lies a journal detailing a tragic romance between a Nord woman and an Imperial soldier during Skyrim's occupation. She waited for him at their secret meeting spot, but he never arrived. The skeletons suggest they both died trying to reach each other, or perhaps committed suicide when their love was forbidden. There's modest loot and 2 potions of minor healing. This environmental storytelling requires no quest, but tells a complete narrative through placement and context. It's a reminder that Skyrim's war destroys personal lives, not just nations. The Headless Horseman's route. This spectral figure appears randomly at night, riding his horse through Skyrim's roads. He's not hostile and will ignore the player completely. If followed, he always travels to Hamvir's Rest, a small graveyard where he dismounts and disappears. His purpose or identity is never explained. Some theories suggest he's the guardian of Hamvir's Rest, while others believe he's cursed to ride eternally. He can appear anywhere in Skyrim at night, making encounters feel truly random. Players have spent hours trying to interact with him beyond simple observation, but he remains one of Skyrim's unexplained mysteries, existing purely for atmosphere rather than gameplay purpose. The Laid to Rest investigation. The quest in Morthal involves investigating a house fire and a mysterious master vampire. Most players follow quest markers efficiently. However, thorough investigation reveals hidden depths. Examining Alva's house before confronting her reveals her journal detailing how she's thralled Hrogar and plans to turn Morthal's population into her vampire servants. Reading this journal before killing her provides context that changes the narrative weight. Additionally, if you arrive at Movarth's lair before getting the quest, you can find evidence connecting to the Burns house, allowing you to piece together the conspiracy independently. The quest rewards detective work beyond simply completing objectives. The Blood on the Ice variables. Windhelm's serial killer quest is famously buggy, but it also contains more variables than most realize. Depending on when you first visit Windhelm and how many times you enter and leave the city, different suspects become available. Calixto or Wunferth can be arrested, but arresting the wrong one allows more murders. The timing of when you investigate the crime scene changes available evidence. Some players can complete the quest in multiple visits, while others get stuck due to scripting issues. If you buy Jerim before completing the quest, the cleanup scene never triggers, leaving bloodstains permanent. The quest's complexity comes from attempting to simulate an investigation with player choice affecting outcomes. The Kind's sacred trials. Uniqueness. Froki Whetted Blade lives in a shack southwest of Ivarstead, teaching reverence for Kind through hunting. His quest requires killing a saber cat, mammoth, and mudcrab barehanded or with bow. The challenge scales with difficulty, as mammoths particularly can destroy unprepared characters. Completing the trials rewards you with Kind's token, which provides a permanent bonus to bow damage against animals. What makes this quest unique is Froki's philosophy. He's teaching old Nordic traditions that most citizens have forgotten, representing cultural preservation. His dialogue suggests disappointment with modern Skyrim's departure from ancient ways, making the quest feel like participating in dying traditions. The East Empire Company mystery. Windhelm's docks hide the East Empire Company warehouse, a location many players never discover. Orthus Endario inside gives the quest rise in the east, targeting the pirate blood hawkers. This entire quest line examines Windhelm's economy and the company's corruption. Completing it reveals the Shattershield family's involvement in trade conspiracies. The reward includes Adelaisa Vendici as a follower and decent gold. The docks themselves are notoriously difficult to find, requiring navigating Windhelm's confusing layout. Some players complete the entire game without discovering this entire district, missing both the quest and the unique shops only accessible there. The Missing Apprentices Investigations. The College of Winterhold has multiple students who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Finney's Gestor mentions 4 apprentices who ventured into various ruins and never returned. These represent unmarked quests where you can find their corpses in Felglow Keep, Ingvild, and other locations. Each has a journal explaining their final moments. Returning news of their deaths to Finis provides no reward, but completes narrative loops. These stories emphasize that not everyone at the college is competent enough to survive Skyrim's dangers, and that magical education doesn't guarantee success against practical threats like bandits or Draugr. The Potema Necromancy Arc. The quest. The Wolf Queen Awakened involves stopping a necromancer cult attempting to resurrect Potema, ancient Wolf Queen of Solitude. What many miss is the setup quest, The Man Who Cried Wolf. Falk Firebeard in Solitude mentions rumors of supernatural activity. Investigating the Temple of the Divines reveals someone is stealing bones. This leads to catacombs beneath Solitude where cultists are gathering materials. The quest becomes available only after reaching level 10 and hearing rumors. Potema herself was one of the most evil rulers in Tamrielic history, and her spirit is genuinely menacing. Her resurrection would have catastrophic consequences, making this feel like preventing an apocalypse that most citizens don't even know about. The Azura's Star Choice Impact. During Azura's quest, you must choose between returning the star to Azura or giving it to Nelacar. This creates one of the game's most significant equipment choices. Azura's Star captures white souls like most soul gems, making it ideal for enchanters who prefer creature souls. The Black Star captures black souls from NPCs, which are typically more powerful and useful for charging high-level enchantments. Choosing the Black Star angers Azura, one of the few Daedric princes considered relatively benevolent. The moral weight comes from deciding whether the mechanical advantage of better soul gems outweighs loyalty to a prince who's genuinely trying to purify a corrupted artifact. Many players don't realize this choice defines their relationship with Azura permanently. The Dampened Spirit's Hidden Details. Maven Blackbriar's quest to sabotage Honningbrew. Meadery contains hidden lore. Sabiorn, the owner, is being set up by Maven to take the fall for poisoned mead. If you explore thoroughly before completing objectives, you find evidence that Sabiorn was actually trying to make legitimate business decisions against Maven's interests. The poisoner is a mage Maven hired, framing Sabiorn for his resistance. Completing the quest gives the meadery to Maven, solidifying her control over Riften's economy. you're unknowingly helping Maven eliminate competition under the guise of public safety. The quest presents itself as helping the city, but is actually corporate sabotage, and the game doesn't moralize your participation. The Lost to the Ages Ethereum. This Dawnguard quest involves locating 4 Ethereum shards to create an ancient Dwemer artifact. Catria's ghost guides you, revealing she died searching for the Ethereum Forge. The quest takes you through 4 massive Dwemer ruins, each with unique architecture and challenging farmer encounters. At the Ethereum Forge, you can choose to create either an Ethereum crown that lets you use 2 standing stone abilities simultaneously, an Ethereum shield that knocks back enemies, or an Ethereum staff that summons Dwemer automatons. The crown is generally considered most valuable, effectively doubling your standing stone benefits. The quest requires extensive dungeon diving and careful exploration, making it one of Dawnguard's most substantial side stories. The Dragon Priest Mask Collection. 8 Dragon Priest guard powerful masks throughout Skyrim, each representing different schools of magic. Moroki, Crosis, Volsung, and others are encountered through main quests or exploration. What many don't realize is collecting all 8 wooden masks unlocks a 9th. At Labyrinthian's central tower, a shrine holds a wooden mask that, when worn, teleports you to a secret area. Here, you can place all 8 masks on a shrine, receiving Konarik, the ultimate Dragon Priest mask. Konarik has a chance to heal you and damage nearby enemies when your health drops critically. This reward requires defeating 8 of Skyrim's toughest optional bosses, making it a true completionist challenge. The Thieves Guild Numbers Racket. After restoring the Thieves Guild to its former glory, Vex and Delvin offer special quests in 4 cities: Whiterun, Windhelm, Markarth, and Solitude. Completing 5 jobs in each city unlocks a special quest that establishes a guild presence there. These quests involve helping local criminals and establishing safe houses. Finishing all 4 special quests fully restores the guild, adding merchants, better fence limits, and the Guild Master armor set. However, reaching this requires completing 25 Radiant quests total, making it one of the longest achievement grinds in Skyrim. Many players finish the main Thieves Guild story without realizing this entire restoration system exists. The Lights Out Lighthouse, Betrayal. Jarira in Solitude offers a quest to extinguish the lighthouse, causing a ship to wreck. The quest seems like simple banditry until completion. After looting the wrecked ship, Jarira's sister Dija betrays you, attempting to kill you for the loot. Fighting through her associates reveals the siblings plan to eliminate you from the start. Clearing the ship earns you the loot, but afterward, Jarira acts like nothing happened. Later, his sister can be found dead, and you receive a note from Jarira thanking you for eliminating her, revealing sibling betrayal within betrayal. The quest shows how criminal cooperation is temporary and self-interest dominates Skyrim's underworld. The Gildergreen's Restoration. When the Gildergreen tree in Whiterun is damaged by lightning during the war, Danica Purespring asks you to retrieve sap from the Eldergleam Sanctuary. You can take the sap violently using Nettlebane or follow Maurice Jondrel's pacifist path. Maurice worships the tree as sacred and pleads for a non-violent approach. If you kill him, you get the sap easily. If you follow his wisdom, he prays to the Eldergleam, which grants a sapling instead of sap. Returning the sapling creates a living tree rather than a restored dead one. This choice reflects different approaches to nature: exploitation versus reverence. The game doesn't judge either choice mechanically, but narratively the peaceful option feels more satisfying and respectful. The Mind of Madness. Complexity. Sheogorath's quest takes you into Pelagius, the mad's tortured mind. Each section represents different aspects of his madness: paranoia, night terrors, and self-loathing. Using the Wabbajack, you must cure each manifestation. The paranoia section involves balancing good and evil influences. The night terrors require making Pelagius face his fears. Self-loathing demands you increase his confidence while reducing ego. This quest is pure surrealism, with Sheogorath's humor permeating every moment. Players familiar with Oblivion's Shivering Isles recognize Sheogorath's voice and mannerisms. The quest ends with Sheogorath's commentary on madness and reality, suggesting that sanity is merely agreed upon insanity, a philosophical statement wrapped in absurdist comedy. The Pilgrim's Path Discovery. The Pilgrim's Path is a hidden trail to High Hrothgar separate from the 7,000 steps. Torolf, encountered randomly, mentions an alternate route used by ancient pilgrims. This path starts near Froki's shack and winds through treacherous mountain terrain. Unlike the main path with its emblems of the Nine, the Pilgrim's Path is unmarked and dangerous, filled with frost trolls and ice wraiths. There's no reward for completing it beyond arriving at High Hrothgar from a different direction. It exists purely for those who want alternate routes and more realistic pilgrimage experiences. Finding it requires either stumbling upon it or hearing rumors, making it a true hidden path. The Trouble in Skyrim. Radiant. The companions offer radiant quests that seem simple but contain variations. Trouble in Skyrim sends you to kill bandit leaders or clear animal dens. What players miss is how these locations are chosen. The game selects undiscovered locations or places you haven't cleared recently, encouraging exploration. Sometimes the target is in remote corners of the map, revealing areas you'd otherwise never visit. The quest appears repetitive, but systematically guides you through Skyrim's content. Additionally, if you've already cleared the assigned location before receiving the quest, you can complete it instantly by talking to the quest giver, as the game checks whether the location is actually cleared. The Grimsever Recovery Sentiment. Mjol the Lioness's personal quest involves retrieving her lost sword, Grimsever, from Mzinchileft. The sword itself is a decent leveled weapon, but the quest's value lies in Mjol's reaction. She's a wandering hero who lost her weapon years ago and never gave up hope of recovering it. Her dialogue reveals the sword represents her adventuring identity. Returning it unlocks her as a follower and potential spouse. What makes this quest special is Mjol's genuine gratitude and how the sword's return affects her worldview. She sees it as proof that honor and persistence matter in Skyrim's corrupt society. The quest is simple mechanically but rich in character development for someone who's otherwise a minor NPC. The Scoundrel's Folly Execution. Mercer Frey sends you to frame Brandshay in Riften as part of the Thieves Guild questline. You must plant evidence in his strongbox during his market speech. The quest appears straightforward until you discover Brandshay's story. He's an orphan seeking his heritage, running an honest business in a corrupt city. Framing him destroys his life, sending him to prison where he loses his business and reputation. He's one of Riften's few truly innocent merchants. The quest makes you complicit in the guild's corruption, showing how criminal organizations destroy good people for convenience. There's no option to refuse or warn Brandshay, forcing your participation in injustice. The first lessons. Significance. When you first arrive at the College of Winterhold, Faralda tests your magical aptitude at the bridge. She asks you to demonstrate a spell from a random school of magic. If you lack the required spell, she'll sell you a tome. However, if you're Dragonborn and demonstrate the unrelenting Force Shout, she's so impressed she grants entry immediately without magical testing. This creates a unique path for non-mage Dragonborns to join the college, acknowledging that the voice is ancient magic predating modern schools. This alternate entry is rarely used since most joining the college are magic-focused builds, but it shows Bethesda's attention to roleplay details. The Bard's College's misunderstood purpose. Many players join the Bard's College expecting music-focused quests. Instead, you're sent to retrieve historical instruments and artifacts. The quest line involves dungeon diving to find King Olaf's verse, Dead Man's Dread, and Riorn's drum. These quests teach Nord history and bardic traditions' importance in preserving culture. The college's true purpose is cultural preservation, not performance. After completing all quests, you gain access to skill training from various instructors, each offering to raise one skill level in exchange for fetch quests. The college functions more as a historical society than a performance venue, which subverts player expectations, but fits Elder Scrolls lore about bards as lawkeepers. The Ritual Stone's dark secret. The Ritual Stone, located east of Whiterun, has a power darker than most realize. Once per day, it raises all nearby corpses to fight for you temporarily. In cemeteries and battlefields, this can create armies of undead warriors. However, these raised corpses disappear after combat, meaning you can't maintain a permanent undead following. What many don't know is if you raise corpses during the Civil War battles happening across Skyrim, you can reanimate fallen soldiers from both sides, creating surreal scenarios where Imperial and Stormcloak soldiers fight together under your command. The stone represents necromancy at its most practical, converting every corpse into temporary military strength. The Frostmere Depths. Tragic story. The quest. The Pale Lady sends you into Frostmere Crypt after bandits. Environmental storytelling reveals a tragedy. Rajir, a Khajiit bandit, stole a sword his leader Keir wanted. Isa, Keir's lover, betrayed the gang to help Rajir escape. When they were caught, Keir killed Isa in rage. Her spirit transformed into the Pale Lady, a frost wraith that killed the entire bandit gang. Reading notes and journals throughout the crypt reveals this love triangle's fatal conclusion. The Pale Lady is actually Isa's vengeful spirit, corrupted by the trauma of betrayal and murder. You must put her to rest, ending the supernatural haunting. The quest examines how love, greed, and betrayal create monsters. The Riorn's Drum Sea Legend. The Bard's College quest to retrieve Riorn's drum takes you to Haldir's cairn. Inside, you face Haldir, a unique enemy who clones himself through magic. The boss fight requires identifying the real Haldir among his duplicates. After defeating him, you find Riorn's drum, an artifact representing ancient Nord seafaring culture. The drum's story tells of how Nord sailors kept rhythm during long voyages, maintaining morale through music. Returning it to the college preserves this piece of maritime history. The quest connects to Skyrim's coastal heritage, reminding players that Nords were explorers and sailors before becoming landlocked warriors. The Toying with the Dead investigation. In Hamvir's Rest, Angie's mother's journal describes her final days fighting disease. Her husband Hamvir refused to accept her death, studying necromancy to resurrect her. His experiments failed, creating Draga instead. Eventually, he died in despair, and both became undead. The area is now haunted by their tragic love. Finding their journals and understanding their story adds emotional weight to clearing the location. You're not just killing random Draga, but ending a couple's cursed existence. The quest represents how grief can corrupt noble intentions, turning love into horror when someone refuses to accept mortality's natural order. The No Stone Unturned Tedium. This quest requires finding 24 stones of Baranzaya scattered across Skyrim. They're in obscure locations including Thalmor Embassy during a one-time quest, making collection brutally difficult without guides. The reward is the Prowler's Profit perk, dramatically increasing gem drops in loot. However, the quest is widely considered tedious, requiring players to explore nearly every major location. Some stones are in places you can only access during specific quests. Missing even one stone means the quest remains incomplete forever. Despite the powerful reward, many players give up due to the exhaustive searching required. It's a completionist nightmare that tests patience more than skill. The Sacred Trials Beast, Respect. Kind's Sacred Trials involves hunting specific animals, a saber cat, mammoth, and mud crab, each in designated sacred animal grounds. Froki Whetted Blade tests your hunting prowess and respect for Kind, goddess of nature. The trials emphasize hunting as sacred practice rather than mindless killing. Froki's dialogue stresses that true hunters honor their prey and nature's balance. This contrasts with typical gameplay where animals are killed casually for pelts and ingredients. The quest asks you to approach hunting ritually, transforming violence into spiritual practice. Completing it grants Kind's token, blessing your archery against animals, representing the goddess's approval of respectful hunting. The Taste of Death's Cannibalism. Namira's quest in Markarth involves investigating deaths in the Hall of the Dead. Brother Verolus suspects foul play. Investigation reveals Iola, a priestess of Namira, is leading cannibal cultists. She invites you to join them in consuming human flesh. The quest culminates in choosing whether to eat Verulus's corpse or kill the cultists. Eating grants the Ring of Namira, which increases stamina and allows consuming corpses for health. Joining the cannibals makes you one of Skyrim's most depraved characters. The quest doesn't judge this choice mechanically, but narratively, it represents total moral degradation, showing how Daedric worship corrupts even basic human taboos. The Boethia's Calling Sacrifice. To begin Boethia's quest, you must first sacrifice a follower. This isn't mentioned until you reach the Cecellum of Boethia. You must bring a follower, command them to interact with the Pillar of Sacrifice, then kill them while they're trapped. This mechanically forces you to betray someone who trusts you. The quest continues with a tournament where cultists fight to prove worthiness. Eventually, you must assassinate someone in their sleep while they're defenseless. Every stage emphasizes betrayal, murder, and domination. Boethia rewards you with the Ebony Mail, armor that poisons nearby enemies. The entire questline is morally reprehensible, yet the game allows it without consequence beyond the follower's permanent death. The Clavicus Vial's Impossible Choice. Clavicus Vial's quest begins in Falkreath, where a blacksmith's daughter died. Her father made a deal with Clavicus for her resurrection, but Vial twisted the wish, turning his daughter into a vampire. You're sent to retrieve the rueful axe. Upon return, Barbas the dog asks you to spare him and return the axe. Clavicus offers to take back Barbas in exchange for keeping the axe, or you can kill Barbas for the mask of Clavicus Vial. The mask is superior reward-wise, but killing Barbas, an innocent creature manipulated by Vial, feels cruel. The choice reflects Vial's nature. wishes granted with twisted conditions. Keeping Barbas alive feels morally correct, but costs you the better artifact. The Innocence Lost Horror. Aventus Aretino, a child in Windhelm, performs the Black Sacrament to summon the Dark Brotherhood. He once grelled the kind killed for abusing orphans at Honor Hall Orphanage. Investigating reveals Grelid psychologically and physically tortures children under her care. She's called kind. Ironically, she's actually monstrous. Killing her feels justified, even heroic, as you're stopping child abuse. However, this act summons the Dark Brotherhood to recruit you, starting you on a path of murder. The quest presents a moral paradox: doing good, saving children, through evil, murder, leads to more evil, joining assassins. Aventus's desperation shows how systemic failures force children to seek dark powers. The A Night to Remember Chaos. Sanguine's quest begins in a tavern where a man challenges you to a drinking contest. After blacking out, you wake in Markarth's temple with no memory. Investigating reveals you sold a goat to a giant, stole a ring from a hagraven's husband, and destroyed an entire tavern. The quest becomes a comedy of errors as you piece together your drunken rampage. Eventually, you find Sanguine himself at Morvunskar, who reveals it was all his prank. He rewards you with the Sanguine Rose, a staff that summons Dremora. The quest is pure Daedric mischief, showing how Sanguine values chaos and hedonism. It's one of Skyrim's funniest quests, requiring no violence, just following your drunken trail. The Pieces of the Past Museum. Mehrunes Dagon's quest involves Silas Vesuvius, who runs a museum dedicated to the mythic Dawn in Dawnstar. He's obsessed with the cult that killed Emperor Uriel Septim VII in Oblivion. Silas asks you to retrieve pieces of Mehrunes' razor from across Skyrim. Each piece is held by descendants of Mythic Dawn members. The quest examines legacy and obsession, as Silas tries to honor his ancestors despite their atrocities. At the shrine of Mehrunes Dagon, you must choose between killing Silas to reforge the razor or sparing him. Killing him grants the weapon. Sparing him gives gold, but no artifact. The choice reflects whether you'll murder an innocent historian for power. The House of Horrors. Cruelty. Molag Bal's quest in Markarth is one of Skyrim's darkest. You're lured into an abandoned house by vigilant Tyrannus. Inside, Molag Bal traps you, demanding you kill Tyrannus to prove worthiness. You must beat the priest to death with a cursed mace while he begs for mercy. After killing him, Molag Bal resurrects him, and you must kill him again. This double murder of an innocent priest demonstrates Bal's sadistic nature. Your reward is the Mace of Molag Bal, a powerful weapon that soul traps victims. The quest has no good options. Entering the house commits you to murder. It's a horror story emphasizing Molag Bal's sphere of domination and enslavement. The Waking Nightmare Investigation. Vermina's quest in Dawnstar involves nightmares plaguing the entire town. Eranda, a priest of Mara, helps investigate the Nightcaller Temple. Inside, you discover Erendor was once Brother Casimir, a priest of Vermina who helped create the crisis. He's been seeking redemption for decades. At the quest's climax, you must choose between letting Eranda destroy the Skull of Corruption or killing him mid-ritual to claim it. The skull absorbs memories and grows stronger. Sparing Erenda shows mercy and allows redemption. Killing him is pragmatic but cruel. This choice examines whether people can truly change or if past sins define them forever. The Discerning the Transmundane Knowledge. Hermaeus Mora's quest involves recovering an Elder Scroll from a Dwemer lockbox. Septimus Cygnus, a mad scholar, needs blood from multiple races to open it. You must harvest blood from Altmer, Bosmer, Dunmer, Falmer, and Orsimer corpses. This macabre scavenger hunt takes you across Skyrim's dungeons. Septimus's madness worsens as the quest progresses, showing Mora's corrupting influence. After opening the box, Septimus is consumed by knowledge, dying as Mora's voice mocks his mortality. The quest warns against unchecked pursuit of forbidden knowledge. Mora rewards you with the Ogma Infinium, a book that grants skill levels but represents knowledge too dangerous for mortals. The Cursed Tribe's chieftain failure. Malakath's quest involves helping the orcs of Lagashbur. Their chief, Yamaz, has lost Malakath's blessing due to weakness. Giants attack constantly. Yamaz asks you to help him kill a giant leader to restore honor. During travel, Yamaz reveals his cowardice, asking you to do the killing while he claims credit. You can agree or refuse. Either way, Malakath sees through the deception. If Yamaz tries to claim credit, Malakath strikes him dead for dishonor. You must then kill the giant yourself. Malakath rewards you with Volendrung, a warhammer that absorbs stamina. The quest examines leadership, honor, and how weakness in leaders endangers entire communities. The Serve Cold political web. On Solstheim, the quest Served Cold involves investigating an assassination attempt on Councillor Morvain. Multiple suspects emerge, each with motives. Investigation reveals a conspiracy by the Ulan family seeking revenge for Morvain's past actions. The quest features detective work, gathering evidence, interrogating suspects, and ultimately preventing the assassination. It examines Dunmer politics, ancient grudges, and how leadership decisions create enemies. Completing it stabilizes Raven Rock, but doesn't eliminate all threats. The quest shows that politics in the Dunmer exile community remains as complex and dangerous as it was in Morrowind, with family honor motivating murder across generations. The Final Descent Mine Mystery. Crescius Corellius in Raven Rock believes his great-grandfather's death wasn't an accident. He asks you to investigate Bloodskull Barrow. Inside, you fight through Draugr and discover ancient secrets. Crescius's ancestor found an ancient Nordic relic, the Bloodskull Blade, which releases energy waves with power attacks. The investigation reveals the official story was a cover-up. The truth validates Crescius's family honor and resolves generational doubt. The quest combines mystery, exploration, and family legacy. It shows how even small communities harbor hidden histories and how uncertainty about past events haunts descendants. Resolving it provides closure Crescius has sought for years. The March of the Dead Defense. Raven Rock suffers attacks from ash spawn emerging from Fort Frostmoth. Captain Veleth asks you to investigate. The attacks are orchestrated by General Falx Carius, who was supposedly killed centuries ago. In truth, he's become an ash spawn commander, seeking revenge for being abandoned after Red Mountain's eruption. You must venture into Fort Frostmoth's ruins and confront Carius. Putting him to rest ends the attacks. The quest explores how the Red Year's catastrophe created literal monsters from forgotten soldiers. Carius represents the Imperials who stayed in Morrowind, feeling betrayed when the Empire withdrew. His undead existence is metaphor for unresolved historical trauma. The Reluctant Steward politics. Falk Firebeard, Solitude Steward, gives multiple quests revealing his role. He manages daily administration while Elisif grieves and politics swirl around her. His quests involve investigating supernatural threats, managing economic concerns, and handling diplomatic issues. Through these tasks, you see how competent administrators keep cities functioning while leaders struggle. Falk represents pragmatic governance, making difficult decisions without glory. He's aware of Elisif's limitations but serves loyally. His quests show that running a hold involves more than martial prowess. It requires diplomacy, resource management, and crisis response. Falk is the unsung hero keeping Solitude stable during turbulent times. The Panthea's flute recovery, Panthea Atia, a teacher at the Bard's College, lost her flute. You're asked to retrieve it from a random bandit lair. The quest seems trivial until you realize what it represents. The flute is Panthea's teaching instrument, essential for her work. Without it, she can't properly instruct students. The bandit stole it during a raid, not understanding its personal value. Returning it enables her to resume teaching, directly impacting Skyrim's cultural preservation. The quest is mechanically simple but thematically important, showing how small acts help maintain civilization. One flute seems insignificant, but it represents the tools needed to pass knowledge to future generations. The Four Skull Lookout Mystery. This unmarked location contains 4 skeletons arranged in a peculiar manner. 3 are seated around a campfire, while the 4th lies nearby with an arrow in its back. Examining the scene suggests murder and consumption. The surviving 3 killed and possibly ate their companion, as evidenced by empty potion bottles and notes about starvation. There's no quest, just environmental storytelling about desperate people making dark choices. The scene implies they were stranded, ran out of supplies, and resorted to cannibalism. The location is haunting in its simplicity, showing how survival can reduce people to horror without supernatural influence. The Shalidor's Insights puzzles. The College of Winterhold's librarian, Urag Gro Shub, offers a repeating quest to find Shalidor's writings. These magical texts are scattered in random dungeons. Recovering them grants skill points in magical schools. The quest represents academic research and knowledge recovery. Each successful retrieval adds to the college's library and preserves ancient magical wisdom. Shalidor was one of history's greatest wizards, and his insights remain valuable centuries later. The quest encourages dungeon exploration while rewarding magic-focused characters. It also shows how the college values historical preservation, collecting knowledge to prevent its loss as civilizations rise and fall. The Somerset Shadows Elimination, the Thieves' Guild quest. Somerset Shadows involves eliminating a rival group in Windhelm. These Aldmer thieves are encroaching on guild territory. You're sent to their hideout to kill their leader and recover stolen items. The quest examines guild politics and territorial disputes. The Somerset Shadows aren't inherently evil, just competition. Your actions eliminate them not for justice, but for business. The quest shows the guild's ruthlessness in maintaining monopoly. You're enforcing criminal territory through violence, highlighting how organized crime operates. There's no moral high ground. You're simply serving your faction's interest through intimidation and murder. The Imitation Amnesty Scam. During Dampened Spirits, you infiltrate Honningbrew Meadery for the Thieves' Guild. The quest involves poisoning mead to sabotage Sabjorn's business, allowing Maven to acquire it. Sabjorn is arrested for selling poison product, though he's actually innocent. The quest demonstrates Maven's control over Riften's economy. She manufactures crises to eliminate competition, using the guild and unwitting players as tools. You participate in corporate sabotage disguised as public service. The poisoned mead could have killed citizens, but Maven doesn't care. The quest reveals how criminal organizations operate in plain sight, corrupting legitimate business through false emergencies. The Hardened Criminal's Redemption. Madanak, imprisoned in Sidna Mine, leads the Forsworn from captivity. The No One Escapes Sidna Mine quest has two paths: help him escape or betray him to the Silverbloods. Helping Madanak reveals he's a freedom fighter resisting Nord occupation. The Forsworn are indigenous Bretons reclaiming their homeland. However, their methods include terrorism and murder. Betraying him serves the Silverbloods' economic interests, but perpetuates oppression. Neither choice is clearly right. The quest examines colonialism, resistance movements, and whether violence is justified for liberation. It's one of Skyrim's most politically complex quests, with both outcomes being morally ambiguous. The diplomatic immunity infiltration, infiltrating the Thalmor embassy during the main quest, is Skyrim's stealth showcase. You attend a party as cover to access the embassy's secure areas. Malborn smuggles equipment inside, allowing you to investigate Thalmor activities. The quest reveals Thalmor knowledge about dragons and their manipulation of Skyrim's civil war. It's a temporary alliance between player and Delphine against mutual enemies. The embassy infiltration feels like a spy thriller, contrasting with typical dungeon crawls. Getting caught triggers combat, but successful stealth provides satisfying tension. The quest documents reveal political machinations underlying Skyrim's conflicts, showing wars are manipulated by external powers. The Sacred Witness Silence, the Dark Brotherhood quest. Morning Never Comes involves killing Alain Dufont for Muri. The contract initially seems straightforward revenge for betrayal. However, Muri offers additional payment to also kill Nilsine Shattershield, an innocent woman who shunned Muri after the scandal. Accepting makes you complicit in murdering someone whose only crime was social rejection. Killing Nilsine destroys the Shattershield family, as her father commits suicide from grief. The quest examines revenge's collateral damage and how assassins enable disproportionate responses to social slights. You're asked to value gold over innocent life, testing whether player characters have moral boundaries or are purely mercenary. The Staff of Magnus recovery. Retrieving the Staff of Magnus from Labyrinthian involves exploring one of Skyrim's largest dungeons. Inside, you encounter spectral dragon priests, powerful Draugr, and frozen mages trapped in magical stasis. The dungeon tells the story of a wizard, conclave, that went horribly wrong. Moroki, the dragon priest boss, drains the mages eternally to maintain power. Freeing them weakens him significantly. The staff itself is crucial for the college questline, allowing you to defeat Ancano. The dungeon combines challenging combat with environmental storytelling, showing how ancient power struggles echo into present conflicts. The Pilgrimage of the Nine. Scattered across Skyrim are the way shrines of the Nine Divines. Pilgrims historically visited each shrine as spiritual journey. While there's no formal quest, visiting all nine and activating their blessings represents a pilgrimage players can undertake. Each shrine grants temporary bonuses reflecting that divine's domain. Completing this self-imposed quest connects you to Skyrim's religious landscape. The way shrines are often in remote, beautiful locations, encouraging exploration. This informal pilgrimage represents the religious devotion common citizens practice, contrasting with the player's typically secular adventure. It's a way to engage with Skyrim's spiritual geography beyond mechanical benefits. The ancestor worship rituals. Dunmer culture emphasizes ancestor worship, reflected in quests like Ancestral Worship in Raven Rock. You're asked to retrieve family heirlooms from ash-spawn-infested ruins. The quest shows how Dunmer maintains spiritual connections to ancestors through physical relics. even exiled in Solstheim. They preserve traditions from Morrowind. Recovering the items allows the family to perform proper rituals, maintaining cultural continuity. The quest examines how displaced peoples preserve identity through religious practice. It's mechanically simple, but culturally significant, showing the Dunmer exile community maintaining traditions despite catastrophic displacement. The Companion's Radiant Depth. The Companion's Radiant quests seem repetitive, but contain hidden depth. Animal extermination sends you to clear animal dens, but some locations contain unique encounters. Hired Muscle involves intimidating debtors, revealing economic struggles of citizens. Rescue Mission tasks you with saving kidnapped civilians, showing ongoing bandit threats. While mechanically similar, each quest location tells environmental stories. Bandits have notes explaining their operations. Animal dens contain evidence of human tragedy. The Radiant system isn't just grinding, but a method for discovering Skyrim's hundreds of minor locations, each with small narratives embedded in item placement and notes. The Dragon Bridge supplies. After the battle for Whiterun, either faction asks you to deliver supplies to Dragon Bridge. The quest seems like a simple delivery, but represents maintaining supply lines during war. Military logistics are rarely featured in games, but this quest acknowledges that armies need food, equipment, and medicine. Delivering supplies keeps soldiers alive and functional. It's not glorious combat, but essential war effort. The quest shows that warfare involves more than battles. It requires infrastructure and support. Completing it feels like contributing to war effort in realistic ways, beyond just killing enemies. The Revealing the Unseen. Mystery. During the college quest line, you're sent to Mzulft to find a Synod researcher. Inside, you discover the Synod experimented with Dwemer technology, trying to map magical sources across Tamriel. Their experiments failed catastrophically, killing most researchers and releasing hostile constructs. Paratus Decimius, the survivor, is paranoid and desperate. Using the Oculary, you discover the Eye of Magnus's location. The quest reveals tensions between magical organizations and how institutional pride leads to reckless experimentation. The Synod's arrogance mirrors the college's later crisis with Ancano, showing how different magical factions make similar mistakes pursuing power. The Skooma Trade Investigation. The Skooma Trade quest involves investigating drug trafficking in Riften. The Khajiit caravans are initially suspected, but investigation reveals a more complex network. Skooma is manufactured in secret dens and distributed through multiple channels. The quest explores Skyrim's illegal drug economy and the racism Khajiit face as automatic suspects. While some Khajiit are involved, the trade is multiracial and systemic. Shutting down one operation barely impacts the overall trade. The quest shows how drug economies are resilient and how prejudice simplifies complex social problems. Riften's corruption allows the trade to flourish despite law enforcement. The Lost Legend. Reading. Finding the book. Lost Legends in various locations triggers the Forbidden Legend quest. Reading activates the quest, which sends you hunting the Galder brothers. This mechanic emphasizes literacy and knowledge-seeking as adventure triggers. Unlike quests beginning with NPCs, this starts through scholarship. It represents how adventurers' research leads, rather than waiting for people to ask for help. The book contains historical clues, pointing to the Galder amulet's location. This quest trigger type encourages thorough exploration and reading every book, rewarding curious players who engage with Skyrim's written lore. The Under New Management achievement, completing the Thieves' Guild quest line, requires restoring the guild to full power. This means finishing all 4 special jobs in Whiterun, Windhelm, Markarth, and Solitude. Each requires completing 5 Radiant quests in that city first. The entire process demands finishing at least 20 Radiant quests, plus the special jobs. Successfully restoring the guild grants the Guildmaster armor, set, and permanent guild leadership. The achievement represents transforming a dying organization into a thriving criminal empire. It's one of Skyrim's longest faction achievements, requiring dedication beyond the main storyline to truly complete the guild's restoration. The Destruction Ritual spell. Quest. At Destruction Skill 100, Feralda offers a master-level spell quest. You must travel to 4 locations and cast a fire, frost, and lightning storm spell at each focal point. The quest tests your destruction magic mastery while revealing ancient magical research sites. Each location contains notes from previous mages who attempted similar feats. Completing it grants access to purchase master destruction spells. The quest represents achieving magical mastery, proving you've dedicated to a specific school. It rewards specialization and provides gameplay benefits reflecting your character's expertise. Similar ritual quests exist for other magic schools, encouraging focused skill development. The Mages Guild absence. Unlike previous Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim has no Mages Guild. The College of Winterhold fills this role but functions differently. The college is academic rather than commercial, focused on research over public service. This reflects Skyrim's distrust of magic after the Great Collapse destroyed much of Winterhold. The college's isolation represents magic's marginalization in Nord society. Quests explore this tension, with Nords fearing and resenting mages. The absence of a proper Mages Guild shows how cultural attitudes shape institutions. The college's struggling membership and funding reflect magic's diminished status in 4th era Skyrim. The Companions' leadership structure. The Companions claim to be leaderless, following Ysgramor's tradition of equals. However, this is partially false. The Circle functions as leadership, making major decisions. The Harbinger, while not technically a leader, guides the group and resolves disputes. This structure represents Nordic ideals of individual autonomy within collective purpose. No single person commands, but hierarchy exists informally through respect and experience. The questline examines how organizations balance equality with necessary leadership. Kodlak's death creates a succession crisis, showing the system's flaws. Eventually, the player becomes Harbinger, continuing the tradition of respected guides rather than absolute rulers. The Civil War's missing conclusion. The Civil War questline ends abruptly after the final battle. Whichever side wins controls Skyrim, but the war's consequences feel incomplete. There's no peace treaty, reconciliation process, or examination of post-war Skyrim. NPCs continue their same routines regardless of who rules. The Thalmor remain influential. The White Gold Concordat persists. This lack of closure is either a flaw or intentional commentary on war's futility. Neither victory changes Skyrim fundamentally. The same problems persist under different rulers. The questline suggests that civil wars destroy without truly resolving underlying conflicts, leaving societies damaged regardless of military outcome. The Reading the Stone's patience. Calcelmo in Markarth studies Dwemer language. His nephew Icantar guards research. The Thieves Guild needs Calcelmo's stone translation copied. Sneaking into the museum, avoiding guards, and photographing the stone requires patience and stealth. However, you can also simply kill everyone, though this destroys relationships in Markarth. The quest rewards stealth, but permits violence. showing different playstyle approaches. Successfully copying the translation helps the guild, but also preserves knowledge. You're simultaneously stealing and documenting academic research, raising questions about knowledge ownership and whether theft for scholarly purposes is justified. The Stormcloak perspective balance. Ulfric Stormcloak is presented as complex rather than villainous. His supporters see him as freedom fighter defending Nordic autonomy. Detractors view him as opportunistic and Thalmor asset. The game provides evidence supporting both interpretations. Ulfric genuinely believes in Skyrim's independence and Talos worship. However, his rebellion weakens the Empire against Thalmor interests. Whether he's a hero or pawn depends on perspective. The questline doesn't force a judgment, allowing players to evaluate his character and cause. This moral ambiguity makes the civil war more engaging than simple good versus evil. The college's dangerous pride. The College of Winterhold's questline warns against unchecked magical ambition. Ancano exploits the Eye of Magnus for power, nearly destroying reality. The college's insular nature allowed this threat to develop unnoticed. Tolfdir's warnings are ignored by leadership. The crisis demonstrates how academic arrogance creates vulnerability. The college values research over safety, theory over practical consequences. Ancano's manipulation succeeds because mages assume magical superiority prevents deception. The questline argues that expertise without wisdom is dangerous. Knowledge for its own sake, without ethical framework, enables catastrophe. The college survives, but should learn humility from its near destruction. The Peryite's hidden anguish. Peryite, Daedric Prince of Pestilence and Order, receives little attention compared to other princes. His quest, The Only Cure, involves speaking with Kesh the Clean and gathering ingredients to commune with Peryite. He tasks you with killing Auchendor, a former follower who abandoned his station. Auchendor embraced disease as enlightenment, contradicting Peryite's order. The quest examines how chaos can emerge from order and how religious devotion can become corruption. Peryite represents natural order through disease, culling weak to maintain balance. His philosophy is disturbing but internally consistent. The quest is short but philosophically dense, exploring uncomfortable truths about nature's cruelty. The Arniel's Endeavour Experiment. Arniel Gain at the College of Winterhold conducts mysterious research. His questline involves gathering Dwemer cogs and soul gems. Eventually, he attempts to replicate the Dwemer's disappearance, using himself as test subject. The experiment succeeds catastrophically. Arniel vanishes completely, presumably suffering the Dwemer's fate. His research was trying to understand what destroyed an entire civilization, but his hubris led to self-destruction. The quest rewards you with a spell to summon Arniel's shade temporarily. It's a tragic story about curiosity becoming fatal obsession, warning against pursuing knowledge without considering consequences. Arniel achieved understanding through becoming his study's final victim. The Thieves Guild's moral bankruptcy. The Thieves Guild presents itself as honorable thieves with codes. However, their actions contradict this image. They extort businesses, frame innocence, and destroy lives for profit. Brynjolf's charm masks ruthless criminality. Mercer's betrayal reveals the guild's corruption extends to leadership. Even after his removal, the guild continues exploiting Riften's citizens. Restoring the guild means expanding this exploitation to other cities. The questline asks you to rebuild a fundamentally exploitative organization. There's no option to reform the guild ethically or dismantle it. You either participate in organized crime or ignore the quest line entirely. This lack of moral choices reflects how criminal organizations operate. They serve members' interests, not society's. The Dark Brotherhood's sanctuary betrayal. Astrid's eventual betrayal of the Brotherhood shocks many players. She contacts the Penitus Oculatus, offering to betray the Brotherhood in exchange for immunity. Her plan fails. The Oculatus destroys the sanctuary anyway. Astrid's motivation stems from desperation. The Night Mother's return threatens her authority. She valued control over the Brotherhood's traditions. Her pragmatic approach clashed with Sithis worship. The betrayal represents institutional conflict between old ways and modern adaptation. Astrid genuinely believed she was saving the family through compromise. Her burning confession reveals tragic self-awareness. She destroyed everything trying to preserve it. The questline examines leadership under pressure and how desperation corrupts judgment. The Emperor's assassination questions. Killing Emperor Titus Mede Nesdul raises questions about Tamriel's future. His death creates succession crisis in the Empire. The Thalmor benefit from imperial instability. The assassination serves mysterious clients, possibly Thalmor agents. The Emperor's acceptance of death suggests he understands his assassination serves larger purposes. He requests you kill the contractor, implying the contract itself was political manipulation. Completing this request kills Amand Mortiere, eliminating evidence of conspiracy. The questline suggests the player is a pawn in schemes beyond their understanding. Assassinating the Emperor feels momentous, but its true consequences remain ambiguous, potentially destabilizing Tamriel for Thalmor conquest. The Potema questline's historical weight. Wolf Queen. Potema ruled Solitude centuries ago, her tyranny legendary. Her spirit's resurrection threatens Skyrim again. The quest to stop her revealed the depths of her evil through environmental storytelling. Her catacombs contain victims and experiments. Her dialogue drips with malevolence. She sees mortals as resources to exploit. Fighting through her cultists shows how dangerous ideology persists beyond original believers' deaths. New generations adopt ancient evils. Destroying her spirit again prevents catastrophe most citizens don't know threaten them. The questline emphasizes how history's monsters can return if forgotten, arguing for remembering past evils to prevent repetition. The companion's beast blood curse. The circle's lycanthropy is presented as curse and blessing. Werewolf form provides combat power, but curses souls, preventing entry to Sovngarde. Kodlak desperately seeks cure, fearing eternal separation from ancestors. The questline explores how power's cost isn't always apparent. Previous harbingers accepted beast blood for strength without understanding spiritual consequences. The curse represents shortcuts dangers, gaining immediate power while losing long-term prospects. Curing yourself is possible, but means losing werewolf abilities. The choice between power and spiritual purity defines the questline's moral core. Some companions, like Isla, embrace the curse willingly, showing different values among same faction. The Final Descent Mine revelation. Bloodskull Barrow contains ancient secrets beyond Crescius's investigation. The Bloodskull Blade, found deep within, releases energy waves unique among weapons. The Barrow's history reveals ancient Nord conflicts with Reeklings and other Solstheim inhabitants. Environmental details show this was sealed intentionally, suggesting something dangerous was contained. Finding the blade validates Crescius's family honor, but also reveals why the mine was closed. The Barrow was too dangerous. The quest combines personal drama with dungeon exploration, showing how individual quests connect to larger historical narratives. Crescius's determination to understand truth drives exploration that uncovers centuries-old secrets. The Temple of Mirax's foreshadowing. Arriving on Solstheim, you find cultists and entranced workers at the Earthstone. This begins the Dragonborn DLC questline investigating Mirax. The Temple of Mirax provides environmental foreshadowing through ancient murals and dragon priest architecture. The dungeon's design hints at Mirax's power before you truly understand the threat. Fighting through his servants builds tension for eventual confrontation. The questline parallels the main game, another Dragonborn seeking power through dragons. Mirax represents what the player could become if they pursued power without moral restraint. He's a dark mirror, showing Dragonborn potential for tyranny. The questline asks whether power inherently corrupts or if a wielder's character determines usage. The Skarl village's dying culture. The Skarl represent ancient Nordic shamanism, worshipping the All-Maker rather than 9 divines. Their culture is dying, isolated on Solstheim with few young people maintaining traditions. Storn Cragstrider represents this dying knowledge. His sacrifice to Hermaeus Mora in exchange for information represents cultures lost to time. The Skarl questline explores cultural preservation versus adaptation. Younger Skarl are tempted by modern life, abandoning traditional ways. The village represents all indigenous cultures pressured by dominant civilizations. Helping them involves both preserving traditions and enabling adaptation to changing world. The questline doesn't provide clear answers about cultural survival, instead showing tensions inherent in maintaining identity during transformation. The Raven Rock political intrigue. Raven Rock's council struggles between Elder Othraloth's traditional authority and Councillor Morvain's leadership. Quests reveal factional disputes over mining rights, land use, and cultural identity. The town represents Dunmer exile. Displaced from Morrowind, they've built a new home, but face economic struggles and political instability. Different NPCs have competing visions for Raven Rock's future. Some want isolation, others integration with mainland politics. The questline doesn't resolve these tensions, but explores how exile communities navigate between preservation and progress. Helping Raven Rock stabilize involves navigating complex political dynamics without clear right answers. The Black Book Collection purpose. 7 black books scattered across Solstheim contain Hermaeus Mora's knowledge. Reading each transports you to Apocrypha, Mora's realm. Each book concludes with choosing one of 3 perks. Permanent character improvements. Collecting all 7 grants substantial power, but also shows Mora's influence growing. Each visit to Apocrypha reveals more about the realm's nature. Infinite libraries filled with forbidden knowledge, seekers guarding secrets, and the suffocating sensation of omnipresent observation. The books represent temptation of knowledge, power offered at the cost of exposure to something beyond mortal comprehension. Mora doesn't demand payment upfront, but his influence seeps into characters who repeatedly visit his realm. The Bloodskull Blade's energy waves. The Bloodskull Blade, found in Bloodskull Barrow, releases red energy waves with power attacks. Horizontal swings create horizontal waves. Vertical attacks create vertical waves. This unique mechanic is used throughout the Barrow to open energy gates, blocking progress. After claiming the blade, you can continue using this ability in combat. The weapon represents ancient Nord enchanting techniques, lost to modern smiths. Its power is both tool and weapon, showing how ancient civilizations merged practical and martial applications. Finding and learning to use the blade requires experimentation, rewarding players who explore mechanics beyond quest objectives. The companion's drinking traditions. Jorvaska features frequent drinking and brawling among companions. This isn't just flavor, but reflects Nordic warrior culture. Drinking contests establish hierarchy and bonding. Brawls settle disputes without lasting enmity. The mead hall tradition represents communities built on physical prowess and direct confrontation. Diplomatic companions like Kodlak maintain order while respecting this culture. The questline shows how warrior societies function. Violence is ritualized rather than eliminated, channeled into forms that build camaraderie rather than destroy it. Understanding companion culture requires appreciating how their drinking and fighting isn't dysfunction, but intentional social structure. The Proving Honor Werewolf reveal. During Proving Honor, you and Farkas enter Dustman's cairn to retrieve a fragment of Wuthrad. Inside, you trigger a trap that locks you in a chamber, while Silver Hand members ambush Farkas. Most players panic, trying to escape. Then Farkas transforms into a werewolf, revealing the companion's greatest secret. The transformation is scripted perfectly to maximize dramatic impact. You're helpless behind bars, watching Farkas slaughter the ambushers in beast form. This moment changes everything you know about the companions. Their mysterious circle meetings, Ayla's hunting obsession, and Skjor's secretive behavior all make sudden sense. The quest name, Proving Honor, gains new meaning, proving you can keep their secret. The Blood's Honor ceremony. After learning the companion's secret, Skjor offers you the beast blood through a ritual in the Underforge. This ceremony involves drinking from the Glenmoral Witch's blood mixed in a basin. Ayla presides, explaining lycanthropy's power and curse. The transformation grants incredible abilities, but prevents entry to Sovngarde. Most players accept without considering the spiritual implications. Nords value Sovngarde above all else, making this sacrifice enormous. The ritual feels ancient and primal, contrasting with the college's academic magic or the Thieves Guild's pragmatic skills. You're not learning or stealing, but fundamentally changing your nature through dark magic. The Underforge's secrecy emphasizes how transformative and dangerous this power is. The Silver Hand's perspective. The Silver Hand are positioned as villains because they hunt the companions. However, from their perspective, they're hunting monsters who prey on innocents. Werewolves do lose control and kill people. The Silver Hand aren't wrong about lycanthropy's dangers. Clearing their bases reveals journals discussing werewolf attacks on farms and travelers. They see themselves as protectors, much like the Vigil of Stendar fights Daedric corruption. The questline never presents their side directly, but environmental evidence suggests they have legitimate grievances. This moral ambiguity makes the companion's storyline more complex. You're not fighting pure evil, but opposing another faction with different values. The Glenmoral Witches encounter. To cure Kodlak's beast blood posthumously, you must retrieve witches' heads from Glenmoral Coven. These hag ravens are powerful casters living in a grotesque lair. The coven's interior is disturbing, filled with gore and dark magic. Hagraven transformation involves women becoming bird-like creatures through dark rituals, losing humanity for magical power. Killing them feels morally justified given their malevolence. However, you're also destroying the source of the beast blood cure. If other companions want to cure themselves later, they need these heads. Retrieving extras means carrying severed heads, a macabre detail emphasizing the cure's dark requirements. The glory of the dead. Conclusion. Kodlak, Whitemane's funeral and subsequent soul rescue, defines the companion's questline's emotional climax. You must defeat Kodlak's wolf spirit in Ysgramor's tomb, freeing his soul to reach Sovngarde. His spirit thanks you, expressing relief at escaping the curse he bore unwillingly. This quest examines consequences of past leaders' decisions. Kodlak inherited lycanthropy from predecessors who made short-sighted choices. He spent his life seeking cure, unable to enjoy the power he never wanted. Freeing him corrects this historical wrong. The title, Glory of the Dead, refers to honorable death and afterlife. Nord values the beast blood compromised. Completing this quest allows Kodlak to finally rest with his ancestors. The Purity quest choices. After Glory of the Dead, Vilkas and Farkas can be cured of lycanthropy using remaining Glenmoril heads. Aella refuses cure, embracing her beast nature. These choices reflect different philosophies about power and identity. Vilkas intellectually recognizes lycanthropy's spiritual cost and chooses cure despite losing power. Farkas follows his brother's lead, valuing family over individual strength. Aella sees lycanthropy as gift, not curse, embracing predatory nature. The player can cure themselves or remain werewolf. This choice defines your character's values, spiritual purity or earthly power. There's no objectively correct answer, only different priorities. The Totems of Hircine collection. Aella offers radiant quests to retrieve Totems of Hircine from various dungeons. These totems unlock new werewolf abilities, summoning spectral wolves or detecting life. Each totem quest involves clearing a dungeon and claiming the artifact. The totems represent Hircine's favor and ancient werewolf traditions. Collecting them makes lycanthropy more versatile beyond pure melee combat. They're optional, but significantly enhance werewolf gameplay. The quests also provide ongoing content after the main companion storyline, giving players reasons to remain engaged with the faction. Aella's continued werewolf enthusiasm contrasts with others' ambivalence, showing the faction's internal diversity. The Yorland Greymane's mastery. Yorland works the Skyforge, creating the finest weapons in Skyrim. His position is hereditary. The Greymane family has worked the Skyforge for generations. After completing Glory of the Dead, he offers to craft Nord hero weapons using special techniques. These weapons are among the best non-enchanted equipment available. Yorland represents master craftsmanship's value in a world of magic and Daedric artifacts. His work requires skill accumulated over lifetimes, knowledge passed through families. The Skyforge itself is ancient, predating Whiterun, possibly built by elves or earlier human civilizations. Its exact origins are mysterious, but its quality is undeniable. The Circle's hidden politics. The Circle maintains power through secrecy and intimidation. Regular companions respect Circle members without fully understanding why. Discovering the werewolf secret reveals the power basis. They're literally superhuman. This creates inherent inequality within the supposedly egalitarian companions. Circle members can overpower any regular member, making their council carry implicit threat. Kodlak tries to mitigate this through wisdom and restraint, but the power imbalance remains. The structure shows how organizations claiming equality often have hidden hierarchies. The beast blood is both literal and metaphorical, power that elevates some above others, creating aristocracy within democracy. The Athis integration story. Athis, the Dunmer companion, discusses his struggles integrating into Nord warrior culture. His dialogue reveals the challenges outsiders face joining traditionally Nordic institutions. Nords initially distrusted him, questioning his honor and strength. He had to prove himself repeatedly, facing higher standards than Nord recruits. His story reflects real immigrant experiences, having to work harder to be considered equal. The companion's theoretical openness to all races doesn't eliminate cultural biases. Athos's persistence and skill eventually earned respect, but the cost was constant vigilance and superior performance. His presence in the companion shows both progress and continuing prejudice. The Rhea's enthusiasm. Rhea represents younger companion's energy and idealism. She's relatively new, but passionate about the organization. Her dialogue shows genuine belief in companion values, honor, courage, and brotherhood. She hasn't been corrupted by years of mercenary work or seen the darker aspects of warrior life. Her enthusiasm contrasts with veterans' weary pragmatism. She sees adventure where others see dangerous work. This generational difference adds depth to the faction. Old companions like Kodlak carry wisdom and regrets. Young ones like Rhea bring renewed purpose and energy. Her character shows how organizations survive through new blood bringing fresh perspectives. The Torvar's comic relief. Torvar serves as the companion's comic relief, often drunk and confused. His quest lines involve simple tasks he complicates through incompetence or intoxication. However, deeper examination reveals Torvar is competent when focused. His drinking is a coping mechanism for trauma from past battles. He's seen friends die and carries survivor's guilt. The humor masks pain, allowing him to function despite psychological wounds. This characterization adds tragedy to comic moments. When Torvar forgets quest details or stumbles drunkenly, he's self-medicating against memories too painful to face sober. The companions accept him despite flaws, showing the faction's loyalty to members struggling with combat's psychological costs. The Enjada Stone Arms hostility. Enjada initially treats the player with contempt, questioning their worthiness. Her hostility stems from insecurity rather than genuine superiority. She's proving herself to other companions, using aggression to mask doubts about her own abilities. As you complete quests and rise in ranks, her attitude softens. She grudgingly respects competence, showing her values align with companion ideals, even if her personality is abrasive. Njada represents gatekeeping within communities. Veterans who test newcomers harshly, partly from tradition, and partly from fear that lower standards will diminish the group's prestige. Her character examines how insecurity drives exclusionary behavior. The Skjor's traditionalism. Skjor is the most enthusiastic about lycanthropy and least conflicted about its costs. He represents old warrior values, strength and victory above spiritual concerns. His aggressive recruitment of you into the Beast Blood shows he prioritizes combat effectiveness over abstract morality. Skjor doesn't fear Sovngarde denial because he believes warrior glory is found in earthly conquests, not afterlife rewards. His death during the Dustman's Cairn quest serves as cautionary tale about embracing violence without wisdom. Skjor was powerful but reckless, and his death shows that strength alone doesn't guarantee survival. His character represents the dangerous aspects of warrior culture when divorced from Kodlak's temperance. The Erla's romance options. Erla is one of the most popular marriage candidates, combining beauty, strength, and independence. Marrying her creates interesting dynamics since she refuses to cure her lycanthropy. Your spouse remains a werewolf, representing acceptance of partner's fundamental nature. She continues taking contracts and hunting, maintaining her identity beyond marriage. This differs from many spouses who become domestic after marriage. Ayla shows how partnerships can maintain individual autonomy. She's not tamed by marriage, but remains the fierce huntress. This reflects modern relationship values. Marriage as partnership between equals rather than one person, subsiding identity into domestic roles. The fragments of Wuthrad collection. Retrieving Wuthrad fragments scattered across tombs represents piecing together history literally. Each fragment comes from different locations where Ysgramor's original companions fell. The fragment's distribution tells story of Nord expansion across Skyrim. Some tombs are in remote locations, showing how far the 500 companions traveled. Others are in contested areas, revealing early conflicts with indigenous populations. Collecting all fragments and reforging Wuthrad creates a weapon with symbolic and practical power. It represents reclaiming lost glory and honoring ancestors. The weapon itself is powerful against elves, reflecting historical Nord-elf conflicts. The Ysgramor's Tomb Pilgrimage. The final companion's quest takes you to Ysgramor's tomb, sacred to Nord culture. The tomb's architecture is grander than typical Nordic ruins, befitting Skyrim's legendary founder. Inside are statues of the 500 companions, overwhelming in scope. Each statue represents a warrior whose name is lost to time. This emphasizes how history forgets individuals while remembering movements. The tomb contains powerful Draugr, who are likely companions in life, now guarding their founder's rest. Fighting through them feels like battling history itself. Reaching Ysgramor's sarcophagus is pilgrimage to the source of Nord identity and warrior culture. The Shield siblings' bonds. Companions refer to each other as Shield siblings, emphasizing chosen family over blood relations. This terminology creates bonds as strong as biological family. The faction becomes substitute family for those without or estranged from blood relatives. Shield siblings are expected to defend each other unto death, sharing dangers and victories equally. This relationship structure explains companions' loyalty despite lack of central leadership. They're bound by horizontal loyalty rather than vertical authority. The quest line explores how these bonds form, strengthen, and sometimes break under pressure. Skjor and Ayla's relationship, Vilkas and Farkas's brotherhood, and your integration all demonstrate Shield sibling dynamics. The missing in action Thalmor infiltration. This quest involves rescuing Thorold Greymane from Thalmor captivity at Northwatch Keep. The Greymanes and Battleborns represent Whiterun's Civil War division. Fralia Greymane refuses to believe her son deserted, correctly suspecting foul play. Investigation reveals that Thalmor captured Thorold during a skirmish. Infiltrating Northwatch Keep exposes Thalmor's brutal interrogation methods. The fortress contains torture chambers and evidence of systematic prisoner abuse. Rescuing Thorold damages Thalmor operations while reuniting a family. The quest examines how war destroys families and how political divisions turn neighbors into enemies. Even in Whiterun, officially neutral, the Civil War tears communities apart. The Battleborn betrayal. The Battleborn family supports the Empire, creating blood feud with the Greymanes. Idolaf Battleborn is particularly aggressive, seeking military glory through imperial service. The family's imperial loyalty stems from economic benefits and ideological agreement. However, their support involves morally questionable actions. They collaborated with the Thalmor to imprison Thorold, betraying a fellow Whiterun citizen to foreign agents. This reveals how political allegiance can corrupt ethics. The Battleborns justify betrayal as serving the greater good, supporting the Empire against rebellion. The The quest questions whether political ends justify betraying neighbors and whether loyalty to distant government trumps local community bonds. The infiltration strategy choice. Approaching Northwatch Keep, you can attack directly or attempt stealth. Direct assault means fighting through heavily armed Thalmor soldiers. Stealth involves sneaking through the fortress, avoiding detection. The quest rewards both approaches, showing Skyrim's flexibility. However, the layout favors direct combat since Thalmor patrol patterns make complete stealth difficult. Inside, the conditions Thorold endured become apparent through environmental details. Cells contain torture implements and dried blood. Documents reveal the Thalmor's systematic approach to extracting information and breaking prisoners psychologically. The rescue becomes personal as you see evidence of Thorold's suffering. The family reunion complications. Returning Thorold to his family creates mixed emotions. Fralia is overjoyed, vindicated in her insistence that her son lived. Thorold is traumatized by torture and imprisonment. He's not the same person who left for war. The reunion is bittersweet. He's physically present but psychologically damaged. Avelstein, his brother, struggles with guilt for not finding him sooner. The quest shows how war's damage extends beyond immediate physical harm. Families receive back-changed individuals carrying invisible wounds. The Greymane's victory in recovering Thorold is tempered by recognition that what the Thalmor took can't be fully restored. The Forsworn conspiracy revelation. Investigating murders in Markarth reveals a deep conspiracy. The Forsworn are more than bandits. They're indigenous Bretons fighting to reclaim their homeland. The conspiracy quest exposes Markarth's corruption. Napos the Nose, a respected citizen, leads urban Forsworn cells. The Silverblood family manipulates both sides, profiting from conflict while appearing to maintain order. Eltries, who starts your investigation, is murdered by corrupt guards when he gets too close to truth. The quest forces confrontation with Markarth's legal system, which is actually criminal organization with official sanction. You're arrested not for crimes, but for discovering uncomfortable truths. The Sidna Mine imprisonment, being thrown into Sidna Mine, reveals Markarth's darkest secret. The mine is prison, but also slave labor operation enriching the Silverbloods. Inmates mine valuable ore without compensation, working until they die. Madanach, imprisoned king of the Forsworn, actually controls the mine's population. The guards know, but allow it, because Madanach keeps prisoners under control. This arrangement benefits everyone except the prisoners. Inside, you meet various inmates, each with stories of how they ended up there. Some are genuine criminals, others are political prisoners or people who cross the Silverbloods. The mine is microcosm of Markarth's corruption. The Madanach alliance choice. You must choose between helping Madanach escape or betraying him to Thonar Silverblood. Helping Madanach means joining a prison break that results in guard deaths. You emerge with Forsworn allies and the armor of the old gods. Betraying him means working with the Silverbloods, earning their favor and freedom, but perpetuating oppression. Both choices have moral complications. The Forsworn have legitimate grievances, but use terrorism. The Silverbloods maintain order, but through exploitation and violence. The quest refuses clear moral answers, forcing engagement with complex political realities where both sides commit atrocities for comprehensible reasons. The Kolskegger Mine liberation. This mine was seized by Forsworn, driving out miners. The quest to reclaim it seems simple bandit clearing. However, the Forsworn occupied it because it was built on sacred ground. From their perspective, they're reclaiming stolen land. The miners are innocent workers needing employment. The mine owner wants profits. The Forsworn want ancestral territory. The quest involves multiple competing legitimate interests. Killing the Forsworn and returning the mine to operation feels heroic, but also perpetuates the cycle that created Forsworn rebellion. Nords taking Breton land and exploiting resources without acknowledgement or compensation. The old gods' armor, significance. The armor of the old gods obtained through siding with Madanach is more than equipment. It represents the Forsworn's connection to ancient Breton deities predating modern religious systems. The armor's fortified conjuration enchantment reflects Forsworn's shamanistic magic traditions. Wearing it aligns you symbolically with Forsworn values and beliefs. Its statement of political sympathy, marking you as someone who understands or supports their cause. In a game where most players never seriously engage with Forsworn perspective, this armor represents rare acknowledgement of their legitimacy. Its practical value is moderate, but its political significance is substantial. The Bard's College politics. The Bard's College in Solitude maintains cultural traditions but struggles with relevance. In a province focused on warfare and survival, poetry and music seem frivolous. The college's isolation reflects society's declining interest in arts and history. However, the quests reveal Bard's vital cultural function. They preserve history through songs and stories. Without bards, Nord culture would forget its own past. The college's struggle mirrors real debates about arts funding and cultural preservation. In economically difficult times, societies question whether supporting arts is justifiable. The quest line argues that culture is essential, not luxury, and that forgetting history dooms societies to repeat mistakes. The Tending the Flames ritual. Retrieving King Olaf's verse from Deadman's Respite involves fighting through Draugr and solving puzzles. The verse itself is a historical document about King Olaf One-Eye's legendary confrontation with Numinex. The Bard's College plans to burn the verse ceremonially during festival, symbolically ending Olaf's controversial reign in cultural memory. This destruction of historical documents for ritual purposes raises questions about historical preservation versus cultural catharsis. The ceremony gives closure but eliminates primary sources. Future historians will lack evidence about events the verse describes. The quest examines tension between emotional needs and historical accuracy. The Panthea's Flute, personal value. Panthea Atea's Lost Flute quest seems trivial, but reveals how personal objects carry meaning beyond monetary value. The flute is instrument her mentor gave her, representing her entire musical education and legacy. Losing it devastated her emotionally and professionally. Bandits stole it during a raid, having no idea of its significance. To them, it was just sellable loot. To Panthea, it's irreplaceable. The quest shows how theft destroys more than property. It severs connections to personal history. Recovering the flute restores Panthea's ability to teach and her connection to musical heritage. Small kindnesses like this quest build relationships and maintain community bonds. The Riorn's Drum seafaring history. Riorn's Drum represents Nord maritime culture before they became landlocked. Ancient Nords were fierce sailors exploring distant lands. The drum kept rhythm for rowers on longships during raids and expeditions. Its recovery preserves this aspect of Nord identity that modern Skyrim has largely forgotten. Living inland for generations, most Nords no longer identify as seafaring people. The drum is relic from when they were. Returning it to the Bard's College ensures this heritage is remembered through songs even if not practiced. The quest represents how cultures evolve and sometimes lose aspects of identity. requiring active preservation efforts. The Dead Man's Respite Dungeon design. This tomb contains some of Skyrim's most creative puzzles and environmental storytelling. The dungeon's layout represents stages of King Olaf's journey, with each chamber depicting different legends. Draga within were likely Olaf's original honor guard, now trapped in undeath protecting their king's memory. The Shadir final chamber contains Olaf's ghost, still performing poetry and music. His eternal performance suggests obsession with legacy even in death. The dungeon shows how powerful individuals try to control their historical narrative through monument construction. Olaf built this tomb to ensure a specific version of his story survived. The verse "You Steal" challenges his preferred narrative. The Finn's Loot Parallel Quest. Finn asks you to retrieve his loot from a bandit stronghold. Like Panthea's flute, this quest emphasizes instruments' personal value to musicians. Finn needs his lute to continue performing at the college. Without it, he's identityless, unable to practice his art. The bandit acquisition of these instruments shows how raids destroy culture along with lives and property. Bandits care only for resale value, indifferent to instruments' meaning to their owners or cultural value. Completing these fetch quests for various college members shows the broader impact of Skyrim's constant violence on civilian life and cultural institutions. The Giraud Gemina's musical standards. Giraud teaches speech at the Bard's College, emphasizing clear articulation and projection. His training quests involve delivering messages to Jarls with perfect diction. The quests seem simple, but represent actual Bard training. Learning to speak clearly before crowds, controlling voice for effect, and maintaining composure under pressure. Bards must perform in mead halls full of drunk warriors and courts with demanding nobles. Giraud's exacting standards prepare students for these challenges. His character shows that entertainment requires serious training and discipline, not just natural talent. The college's educational rigor contradicts the perception of bards as mere entertainers. The Viamo's historical knowledge. Viamo, the college headmaster, combines musical and historical expertise. He understands how bards preserve history through songs, making him both artist and scholar. His guidance in retrieving historical artifacts shows commitment to cultural preservation beyond just musical performance. Viamo represents the bardic tradition's intellectual component. He's not just entertainer, but keeper of knowledge, understanding the college's role in maintaining Nord cultural identity. His leadership balances artistic excellence with historical accuracy, ensuring graduates understand their responsibilities as cultural preservationists. The burning of King Olaf Festival. The festival celebrating Olaf's verse destruction involves music, food, and ceremonial burning. The entire college participates, showing community coming together around cultural tradition. The burning represents collective decision to move beyond controversial historical figures. Olaf was powerful but divisive. Ceremonially ending his influence in cultural memory allows society to progress. However, this also means losing historical nuance. Future generations won't access primary sources about Olaf's actual deeds versus propaganda. The festival is joyful, but also represents historical amnesia, choosing emotional closure over complete historical record. The college member trainers. After completing the main quest line, various college members offer skill training in exchange for fetch quests. Each member specializes: speech, alchemy, or specific musical skills. The training represents ongoing education available to dedicated students. However, the fetch quests required are often dangerous dungeon crawls, showing that even mundane advancement requires risking life in Skyrim. The system demonstrates lifelong learning and master-student relationships. Even after becoming recognized bard, there's always more to learn. The trainers represent accumulated wisdom worth preserving through formal education, rather than letting die with each generation. The Winterhold Ruin symbolism. The Bard's College thrives in solitude while the College of Winterhold struggles in ruins. This geographic contrast reflects Nord cultural priorities. Solitude values tradition, arts and history, supporting the Bard's College institutionally. Winterhold, destroyed by the Great Collapse, can barely support its College of Magic. This shows which knowledge Nord society values: cultural over magical, traditional over experimental. The Bard's College's stability versus the College of Winterhold's isolation demonstrates how societal support determines institutional success. Culture needs patronage to survive. Without it, even important knowledge risks being lost. The Bards as historians. Throughout the questline, emphasis is placed on bards as historical record keepers. In societies with limited literacy, bards memorize and perform histories, keeping cultural knowledge alive. They're not just entertainers, but living libraries. This role is endangered in Skyrim as literacy increases and traditional oral culture declines. The college fights to maintain relevance by emphasizing bards' unique value. Their performances make history accessible and memorable in ways written text cannot. The questline argues for preserving traditional knowledge transmission methods, even as society modernizes, recognizing that different forms of knowledge require different preservation approaches. The Soljan's Sinkhole Moonstone Crisis. Soljan's Sinkhole quest involves clearing Draugr from a mine. The miners discovered ancient Nordic ruins while excavating, accidentally releasing undead. The quest seems standard, but represents economic reality of Skyrim. Valuable resources often lie near dangerous historical sites. Mining is essential for economy, but risks awakening ancient threats. The miners are civilians, not warriors, making them helpless against Draugr. Clearing the mine allows economic activity to resume, showing how adventurers enable commerce by handling dangers ordinary citizens cannot. The quest demonstrates Skyrim's economy depends on warrior class, providing security for productive classes. The Angeline's Aromatics loss. In Solitude, Angeline's Aromatics shop owner asks you to locate her daughter's remains. Her daughter joined the Stormcloaks and died at Darkwater Pass. Angeline wants closure, needing to know her daughter's fate definitively. Finding the remains and returning them allows proper burial and mourning. The quest is small scale but emotionally significant. Angeline represents thousands of parents who've lost children to the Civil War. She doesn't care about politics, just wants to bury her daughter. The quest humanizes the war's cost, showing how abstract political conflicts destroy individual lives and families. The return to Grace Dawnguard. Beginning. Joining the Dawnguard begins with mysterious travelers mentioning vampire hunters recruiting at Fort Dawnguard. The DLC's start is intentionally subtle, relying on rumors rather than forced quest activation. Arriving at the fort, you meet Isran, a zealous vampire hunter rebuilding the ancient Dawnguard order. His paranoia about vampires proves justified as investigations reveal a vampire plot involving Elder Scrolls. The questline examines fanaticism versus legitimate threats. Isran is extreme but facing genuine danger. His methods seem excessive until vampire capabilities become clear. The moral question becomes whether his paranoia is justified by results or whether it corrupts the Dawn Guard into becoming as monstrous as what they fight. The Awakening Dawn Guard Vampire Path. Alternatively, you can join vampires by encountering Serana and choosing to serve Lord Harkon. This path involves becoming Vampire Lord and working to extinguish the sun, using Oriel's bow. The Vampire questline inverts typical hero narratives. You're pursuing apocalyptic goals for monstrous faction. Harkon wants to destroy the sun, to make Tamriel safe for vampires, condemning all mortals to eternal night. The questline asks whether power justifies evil, or if some goals are too terrible regardless of rewards. Playing as vampire provides incredible abilities, but also forces confronting what you become. Predator viewing humanity as livestock. The Prophet's Vision. Quest. Both Dawnguard paths involve finding a Moth Priest to read the Elder Scrolls. Moth Priests go blind from reading the scrolls, sacrificing sight for knowledge. Dexion Evicus is the priest you rescue, representing scholars who endure terrible costs, pursuing understanding. His blindness is permanent, but he considers it worthy price for knowledge gained. This philosophy reflects Elder Scrolls lore's theme. Knowledge requires sacrifice. You cannot understand reality deeply without paying for that understanding. Dexion's willingness to blind himself for truth represents ultimate dedication to scholarship, questioning whether any knowledge justifies such cost. The Soul Cairn's Trapped Souls. Entering the Soul Cairn, Valerica's prison, reveals the fate of soul-trapped victims. This dimension contains souls trapped in soul gems throughout history. They exist in eternal twilight, conscious but powerless. The Soul Cairn is maintained by ideal masters, mysterious entities who trade in souls. The dimension's existence raises moral questions about soul trapping. Every time you fill a soul gem, you condemn a creature to this existence. The questline forces confronting the implications of mechanics players use casually. Soul trapping is convenient enchanting fuel, but the Soul Cairn shows it's actually condemning conscious beings to eternal imprisonment. The moral weight of enchanting is usually ignored. This quest makes it unavoidable. The Elder Scrolls reading. Consequence. Reading an Elder Scroll without being Moth Priest causes temporary blindness. The scrolls contain such concentrated knowledge that mortal minds cannot process them safely. Even the brief blindness you experience is minor compared to Moth Priest's permanent sight loss. The mechanic demonstrates that some knowledge is too powerful for unprepared minds. Based on Elder Scrolls lore, these artifacts appear to record all possible futures simultaneously, which could explain why those who read them see time non-linearly. This overwhelming vision seems to be why readers go blind. Mortal eyes cannot process seeing all of time at once. The blindness represents limits of mortal comprehension when confronting divine or cosmic level truths.